Fearless and truthful.
Provocative and controversial.
We say it like it really is.
With dignity and respect.
Committed to free speech and common sense. Upbeat and entertaining.
Straight talking and direct.
We may agitate each other and you.
Thought-provoking, provocative and controversial.
Hello and welcome to The Pledge. It's been a trying week for the Prime Minister, who managed to lose her Johnson during a crunch vote on Heathrow expansion. He eventually turned up in Afghanistan. Well, I'm pleased to say our Johnson is on proud display for all to see after making good on her pledge to appear on The Pledge. And coming up, Rachel says you're not being served. Phil wants jobs for our veterans. June thinks cheap buys are going out of fashion. And Michelle says swearing celebrities can F off. But first, it's me. OK, agreed. At first sight, it does look a little draconian. But as nothing else seems to be working, would it be so wrong to consider taking council housing away from the families of anyone found guilty of belonging to a gang? The idea was put forward by Home Office Minister Victoria Atkins, who backed a scheme being trialled in North London. She said threatening whole families with eviction will teach these vile thugs to, quotes, understand the consequences of their criminal behaviour. Damn right. They murder, deal drugs and terrorise neighbourhoods while laughing at the authorities. Surely being told they could see mum made homeless would have some impact with these lowlives. Can I put you down as a yes?
Speechless. Speechless. For starters, there is no evidence whatsoever that these sorts of measures work.
I'll
None.
challenge you in a minute.
Challenge me, please do. But also, in the case of young people who turn to crime, a lot of the time, most of the time, their parents are completely distraught. The parents have tried everything to get that child back on track. Majority of young people, if you look at the 73,000 young people we have in gangs, the majority of them, their parents not saying this is a good idea. So what makes you think that the idea of their families becoming homeless is a deterrent? Well, often they are selfish young people who are only thinking about themselves. So I'm sorry, the idea of this is insane. And then if we're looking at families, what does that mean for the children of these criminals? Okay. So then the pressure on the state if these children end up in our welfare system, it's absolute insanity. And what she should be doing is looking at how we get to the causes of these young people turning to crime.
And here's my challenge.
What's
so
your challenge?
You're not a police officer, I'm not a police officer, we're journalists and broadcasters. Why don't we hear from someone who wasn't just a police officer, Metropolitan Police Superintendent, former Met Police Superintendent Leroy Logan, who oversaw a similar scheme in Hackney some years ago.
It was a sufficient deterrent because when you start influencing the roof over someone's head, all of a sudden everyone focuses, had a massive impact on reducing antisocial behaviour, improving parental control, and not just within the vicinity where they lived, but it also helped the child engaging in schooling and being more productive all round.
So just to play some of those words back to you, June, and then I'll bring someone else in. Sufficient deterrent, influencing the roof over someone's head, massive impact, improving parental control, engaging in schooling. Tell me, that's a former copper.
I want to see the actual statistics behind
So
that.
he's lying?
I don't believe it.
You don't believe it? So that's the best evidence you've got?
Can we hear from somebody who's
Rachel.
also dealt with the impacts of this policy? And this is a youth worker, Jennifer Blake.
If you've got a young person that's in gangs and they decide to move a family and the family's got another 4 children and they're all under the age of 10, then social services has a duty to house them. So therefore they're going to house them in another borough. So you're just pushing the problem to another borough.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand why it sounds good because it's very much fits into the Tory party of law and order, tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime. But
well, hang on, that was the Labour Party, by the way, that said tough on crime, tough on the causes of crime. But do go on. You're normal.
They all say it.
Misinformed.
They all like to think they're tough on crime. They all like to think they're tough on crime.
Phil.
They all like to think they're tough on crime. They're not.
Exactly.
And that is the biggest problem in all of this. If the punishments really were... And you say draconian, I'm medieval with my punishments, I'm telling you, I really am, all right?
What would you do, Phil?
I'd be screwing people in properly, I'm telling you.
How?
I would be winding behaviour in.
What, you mean screwing the coffin lids down?
Thumbs down and all that sort of stuff, do you know what I mean? While we interrogated them properly. No, I'm joking, all right? But what I am saying is... They're just getting away with stuff at the moment. Right, the problem I have with what you're saying is, all right, you've got other people within these estates looking around and going, I'll tell you what, who grassed that family? And then you're going to have a problem in the estates with people going, how did they find out all about this?
Well, they nicked them. We've nicked them.
You've nicked the family, that's fine. You've nicked the family and you've thrown the whole family out. Would you want to move back into that house? Would you want to live in that house afterwards? With people all staring in and the gang members going, I'll tell you what, we'll take a little bit of penance on them people around that way for knocking them out. Do you see what I'm saying?
OK.
So you then create another social problem of people going, I'm not having that.
Nick, but how is penalising the families?
Because nothing else is working. Listen, before I bring you in, Michelle, let's just give you an idea, or the viewers an idea. Let's go to Richmond and see some footage here of the sort of people we talk about. Now, you have two people who apparently had been loitering. These are classic gang. We don't know that these are members of the gang, but this is the sort of behaviour, wearing motorcycles. They go over to a young woman with a child. Richmond, for viewers who don't know, is one of the more affluent parts of London. She very bravely tugs the child away, doesn't give her purse or a watch or whatever it is. Those two make off. Now, this is the most fascinating part. A scaffolding lorry pulls up. They've seen what's going on, and out they come. I say again, broad daylight, people walking past, young mum. It just happens to be in an affluent part of Britain. That shouldn't make any blind bit of difference. But that is what we're contending with. Michelle.
See, I've seen that video and I think that is absolutely disgraceful. And what I also think is disgraceful is you'd have noticed that scaffolder grabbed a bit of metal before he chased after those guys. Had he have caught those robbers and given them, you know, a smack with that metal, the scaffolder would have been the one that was in trouble. So I have a real issue with that. But that aside...
Come back to my idea.
Yeah, that aside...
A lump of metal in your head?
That aside, I agree wholeheartedly with you. We are in a situation where that kind of stuff is going on in our streets. And, OK, predominantly in London at the moment, but it won't be long before it spreads way beyond that. And nothing is working. And the reason that nothing's working is there's no consequence. So these people think that they can jump on mopeds, drive up to the likes of you and I or anyone else, steal whatever they want. They don't give a damn about what the police think or don't think.
Are we linking moped crime with gangs?
Well, you have got gangs on mopeds as well.
Right, OK.
Yeah, so what I'm saying is that actually I will give these guys some credit in the sense of I think that they'd probably care for their mum.
I would say not really, otherwise
You
they
don't
would
think
not
they'd care
be...
for their
I
mum?
would say not really. I would say they've stopped listening to their parents, otherwise they would not be involving themselves in that sort of criminal behaviour.
I think June's right. I think what we're seeing is gangs have replaced families as community, and there's absolutely no point in punishing families for gangland crime.
But if the gang...
I personally think these people, they need catching and they need locking up for a long time. And when you catch someone, and when you catch someone, you say, I'll tell you what I'll do, I'll give you a 3 month suspended sentence. That's all right, isn't it? No, it's not all right. No, you've been an absolute moron. You are taking taking things into your own... You're absolutely bringing things that low that, you know, these people can get under a snake's belly with a top hat on, by the way, do you know what I mean? They really are low. They need locking up. They need putting away.
Can we look at the type of stuff that does actually work, which is about education, and which is... Yes, it is, actually, because all the statistics show you education is the best way to turn people out, and works. So can we...
Two very unfashionable concepts.
Could I have...
You think those two lads who went after that girl have any interest in going to school and learning arithmetic and geography?
Well, no, but there's vocational training. There's lots of...
What would you do with them then?
Both lock them up and throw away the keys.
Vocational training, that's what
I'll try and rehabilitate them.
Can I show a clip, please, from Professor Simon Harding, who actually is talking some sense? Let's have a look at him.
In terms of preventing people from moving in, we have to address the issue of poverty. That means large-scale structural investment into these areas that we have largely abandoned.
And building communities, as Rachel said, the gangs have replaced the family, and it takes a village to raise a child. And a lot of the time, these kids come from single-parent households. The parents are stretched. They cannot cope.
Engage in schooling is what the Met Police achieved in Hackney. These kids went to school.
I want to see more data on that.
But June, they're also proposing this alongside some of the things that you're saying. So they're not saying we're just going to go in and on the first instance take a house and that's it. So this is a measure as a last chance saloon. And by the way, these people, they choose to be in gangs, and often they choose to be in gangs because gangs are seen as glamorous. I honestly think that those people, like on the mopeds and doing all this stuff, they must laugh laugh at the likes of you and I going to work and earning some money when they could just rob from you.
I would say if we had actually trained them properly and allowed them to contribute to society.
But they can contribute to society.
No, but you've got to look at what happens to a lot of these children.
You're a vicious little hood who tries to rob from mothers, so we're going to give you algebra.
Them to contribute to
Once
society.
you are expelled from school,
yeah, but don't get expelled in the first place.
You are written off.
Yes, but
once you become
expelled.
one of those written-off children, your chances of actually succeeding in school are near nil. So you've got to look at...
Look what happened to you.
No, look at the processes. If you hadn't have gone into the army, you've said yourself you probably would be involved in crime.
I might have done.
Precisely. So the army saved you. And what I'm saying is we need more projects like that to help these young people. And throwing their families out of homes does not do that.
Being expelled isn't something that's happened to them. It's a consequence of their behaviour. They've been expelled because
the individual has to turn their behaviour around.
I know, but I have been funny. You make a choice. Lots of people have bad circumstances. Lots of people are in single parents. You make a choice. Do I get myself on the straight and narrow, or do I shove a zombie knife down my pants and start robbing people in the street?
I don't know if you make a choice at 7.
Yeah, I think you make a choice.
7, 8, 9, 10. I don't think you do.
You're not responsible.
I think you are the product of your environment at 7, 8.
And also, Jude's right. If these kids are very young, under 20, the idea that you then break up the family or you make them homeless.
You're cutting a 19-year-old slack.
No, wait, hold on, Nick. Yeah. The evidence that parenting is crucially important in this, and fathering, etc., etc. So, OK, let's just make render the family homeless and chuck them out of the borough.
Good idea.
Right, that's really going to help gang violence.
And
well, it would, because then they'd have to go to another borough and the gang won't be there.
I want to see more of that. That was probably one house Leroy's talking about.